So my content flow will be like this. I will just explain briefly what are the motivations and defining research. We'll just go into the motivation of the research. Just highlight some types of researches and what exactly do you mean by the area of interest in the research part. People think about and still their things are not clear. The next that I will touch is the proposal writing, and in brief, I will go with this research design. What are the different contents in this research design? What all points covered in this? And finally, we'll just see in the closing part, I'll just distinguish between these two, define them and distinguish. And with an example, I will just wind up with this particular whole session. So entering this, so why do we research? Why do we do the research? Why research is required? So all the things come into our mind. Now we basically are nobody. We are simply consumers. As far as we see, we are only worrying about what is new coming into our market, electronics market, or in some other places. We are never like this word I just liked, producers of technology. Producers of technology, we are never a part of this and never a progressive worker in technology. Now, things are very clear, but very much dark to say. The thing is, we never get into the depth of a technology. I mean to say, why the research is required in the sense uh, when we are thinking about some, suppose for example, I'm coming from electronics, so I will talk about electronics, some device like a semiconductor device like diode or transistor. It's so miracle that we are still not developing a single diode in our country. It's very amazing like how at all such a development has happened all over the universe or the world, and still we are not any manufacturers of any semiconductor. Look at the way then how we are simply consumers. So when you become a part of this progressive working in the technology, then only the thing will be coming as we can have a hold on technology. So we are not rulers, we are simply users. So that is why the research here is important. As far as all the days I had been working, I just came to know that like we have to do something so that the research is coming into the life of a child, or you can say a life of the engineering student, or the life of some technocrat students. So unless we are a part of this manufacturing and unless we go into this indigenous research, things will not come to the mark and will never be the rulers in technology. We'll simply be users. This is the reason why we should go for research. Now, what are the strengths of a country? We have a lot of human resources. That's in abundance. Everybody agrees with this. And this point, we have a lot of things we can talk about this human resources. When Y2K problem had occurred, then there is a novel, or you can say a big book, World is Flat. Luthen's the author. He has actually inserted things where it's telling like how the Asia is full of human resources and that too cheaper as compared to the Western brains. So we are a lot in number who are much more known for the command over language and coding skills and all these things. And then what is the problem? Why there is no motivation? There should be some motivation. So who should do it? Who should do it? Is it somebody like somebody else should do? We should just enjoy our stretcher. We should keep on like going for the theory classes and just go get the payment and then no. We have to do something. We as a part of this technology should be taking that thing like as a yardstick for ourselves and make research also a part of our life. Okay, so basically, what a human being in our country going into the technology is thinking that what should be the fundamental research for? It should basically people commonly think about doing some like get some payments and just go for some respectabilities and all. But what exactly should be? We should have a desire to get a research with some benefits. Is it not? Like we should not go. We should have a benefit sort of. We should not simply go for getting for the degree sake, like copy paste and bundle out research cases and then submit. That is not the aim. So what should we do? We should have a desire. We should have something that keeps us brains in the challenging work. We should have the knack of going for taking things as challenge, like solving some unsolved problems. And it is really important. This is really very important to go for the research work, because unless you have a feel for that problem solving, we will never get into the research, because things are not that easy in research. If you really want to do research, it's really giving you a joy. If you are having a joy, intellectual joy, we say, there is a word, there is no word as such in the dictionary, but we have clubbed these two. Intellectual joy comes out after some creative work you are doing. If you're doing some creative work, then definitely there is some joy, and that joy again makes you more work more. And also, we should also have some intention to serve the society. There is a problem, we should do this research and do something. The best example these days we could give was for the COVID-19, how our Indian scientists, they went into this. They had purely science, obviously, but science is the mother of all technologies, is it not? So we should not give away with the science. Science is the basic branch where we have to think about how it is near to our problems. Science is always near to our problems. So how do they serve it? They just, of course, with some collaboration of other countries, but still, am I audible?
इनकम्प्लीट आहे ना आपण हे
Somebody's mic is on, sir.
Yes, ma'am. You are audible.
इथे बघा ना इथे बघा अजून
So there should be a dire desire
सगळे ब्लॉक केले तिचे
to have the service attitude to the society. So just keep on solving the society problems. So they served with some vaccine, designed it, they have manufactured it, and see what the country is now at. We are 100 crore plus vaccination has been done, and that too in the free costing. There was no charges, is it not? So we could bear that much because it was in house done. It. So research is happening. So this is the way we should serve the society. So we should get respectability is a desire, that's a part of it. So these points should be there in our mind, and then we can say that really we are into the path of research. Otherwise, simply for searching some points, searching some problems, bundling it out, copy pasting things, and making one report and submitting it and putting a DR in front of my name, it's of no use unless you are into the real fact. It's of no use. It will be a simply another black book. So that was what I thought of. So what exactly should the research do, and what exactly should we do for the research? So actually research should be nothing but growth of knowledge to oneself and to the domain of technology or domain of the knowledge or the body of knowledge. So we can say that research is something which is nothing but a fountain of knowledge, and for the sake of knowledge, we have to do all these things. So, okay, is it like that? So what exactly we are talking about? We are talking about research, and what is the meaning and what is the relation with the business related problems, government problems, social problems. What is the relation? Can you think about it? Like how the point of research is related to business and all these issues. Actually, there is a direct relation between these points. See, if I am doing the technology research, what happens is the technology research, if it is doing some, if it is growing on the basics of the psychology of the society, that means the needs of the society, then the technology will give some solutions. And according to the solutions, the growth of the market will be there. And if the growth of market is there, that means business really is flowing like anything. And now the picture is, when you are having all such growth in the business, means the government has to think about the budgets. So when the budgetary actions are coming out, they have to think about all these things so that we can take a leap over the technological growth further. We can globally meet in the technology domain there, and then we can stand for our country and make our country from developing to developed, is it not? So this is what We can may say that this is made in India, this is the Swayam Bharat. All these things, concepts are coming into picture. Now, looking into this fact, the finance minister already has announced so much of the funds, and it's been ready there to spend. The only thing is you should go for the right proposal, the correct problems, and all these things, if they are there, then only the funds, like I will tell you how the proposal have to be made, all these things will be covered here. So when you are having a proposal in a right manner, then the funds will really catch it up, and you will be well known for the research, and that research work will be really adding up your knowledge to yourselves and to the uh, you can say the technology domain or the other domains, like we have humanities and all science and everything. Okay? So such is the need of the research, and this is the reason we should do the research. So by the end of this, already I have told you, like we can promote the research from the school level, and we should build a culture of research. Now, I mean to say a few words for this. Like in other countries, when you see, like in China, it's not wrong enough to mention even the China what is doing. What happens? Good things we can take. These people in China, they have, as we have ice cream parlors, as we have beauty parlors, as we have net cafes, so are the research laboratories available there in every areas. It is not limited to only the institutes, not limited only to the laboratories. It is having like in every section they are having the research labs. This culture is a little bit is followed in Karnataka, like you can see in Bangalore streets and all. Some research labs are there, like such things are there every corner of the city. Similar things also you can see in Tamil Nadu. So such cars, a little bit of there is in our Pune also. Nasik also you can see. But this has to grow in all the country throughout. So then the research culture comes into fulfillment. And if you're trying to inculcate the research culture, then only we'll be able to think research, then we can say work along with the research and just see how people are writing. Now, when I started my PhD, I had nobody around me to even just ask how and when, what to find the problem, how to go for the research. All such things were like not available. But now when we are available here on the campus, some people come along and ask. I said, yeah, it's a good thing that I could at least tell somebody how to go into this research process. So likewise, we have a peer-to-peer discussion, and when we do some peer, we can say communication, then things become more. So that's such a culture of research. The point is the culture of research when it is there around us, it really helps. At least if out of some 20 people, if one person comes into this path, it makes a big difference. So that was what we wanted to say. Now you'll say, madam, what exactly will be happening? We are simply, I am the alone person, single person. What big difference do I make, will I make to the global issues? So we are simply dots, but every doubt is going to be making technology grow, is it not? Every dot is really important. Everybody, boon boon se sagar बढ़ता है बोलते हैं. So we all together are taking the knowledge like growing every second. So we are contributing to this knowledge body, is it not? So just see that when we are doing something means it is countable. Don't worry about how and who will take care of your work. People will do, and it is seen in recently, like your work is acknowledged even in the parliaments, is it not? You get some awards also. We have so many awards recently given by president. So this is not the way like why should I do? Why should I am the only person doing this? It's not like that. Our work is acknowledged. Now, everybody's one thing I wanted to ask is why, how the research comes in, and what do you mean by a knowledge? What do you mean by knowledge? Suppose I'll give an example. I have just pointed it out here. Suppose you can say you just see somebody who is very beautiful. Okay, somebody will say she's not beautiful, or the thing is not beautiful. Now, is there any rule like these are the parameters to be beautiful, or these are the parameters for not being beautiful? It is not like that. It is your myth conviction. There's nothing like that. See, if you find the thing beautiful, there are chances why it is not ugly. Okay, somebody might think that the thing is not beautiful. If it is ugly, then there are chances that there is a beauty in that ugliness. If it is so, this is the way people think. If it is beautiful for you, it may not be beautiful for the other person. He may see, or she may see it's ugly. So like that. Okay, you just think about a car model, is it not? Somebody finds the model is very good, somebody finds the model is not good. So why it is not that good? So that why question is asking you for your research. So what is this knowledge? Is defined as justified through belief. You believe it, but whether it is true or it's false, you believe. People say that, when you just see, no, people say when you split some salt on the on the ground, people say before you die, you have to lift it up with your eyelashes. So it is a myth. It's a belief. Even now we say whenever something happens, it comes into our mind. Somebody might have told in a long time back, but that is a belief, it's a myth. But is it true? It's not true. So why it is not true? So you have to find a justified method to get to know the truth. And that justified method is nothing but stratified, or you can say a well built up methodology which leads us to make a research. So this is the biggest difference between the truth and the belief, and where exactly is the research. So this is the where the research we can think of. Okay, so we just have to go for how your belief is really true. That is nothing but the research. So scientifically we can do all these things. There are certain types of research. We have so many research types like descriptive, analytical, fundamental, many types like quantitative, conceptual, empirical. We'll just described in short, and then we'll move on. I'll end up with my session for this quantitative and qualitative, which is the very basic one to understand. So what are the descriptive and analytical? You just see, like, we have so many surveys and investigations we do, and when you do some service, you have some statistics, is it not? Now, how these things are related, we will talk about later. That's a big topic actually. But to brief up, now this is exactly where the data analysis is required. So, like what all, like you can think about traffic coming into this city, how many traffics are crossing the toll front. All such statistics will be requiring some analysis to go for the evaluation. There are some applied and fundamental researches, like when you have a fundamental means basic researches, basic theories are observed. For example, when you say there is some resonance effect, you say there are three components: resistance, inductor, capacitance. You have some resonance. So this is the basic. If you do some research on L, R, and C, this becomes a fundamental research. When you apply this research, this resonance to something like for tuning, or you get a capacitance, how do you tune a channel? It is nothing capacitance. How do you do this? There are many methods. So if you apply such concepts to some application, it becomes an applied research. So there is a close relation between this. Again, conceptuals and empiricals have, we go for the ideas and theoretical part and the conceptuals, and then when you have how the variables are governing these theories, if you understand and do the research on that, it becomes empirical. There are many further researches like laboratories, experimental, simulation. So it's a long way. It's a beyond the scope of the session, like to have the types of research here. And so what do you have? The significance of research. We do so many things. We come up with some conclusions. We give the inputs to the businesses. We are always solving the difficulties. We have certain, one more thing I wanted to add up here is, now this modern materials. Now just now I was mentioning about the resonance, is it not? So I was actually into this topic when I was searching for my topic. I can give an example. I came across one concept like Matic Glass is a company which generates a material. Now this material is such that it resonates when it is a very thin micron sensor. Suppose you're having an object which is vibrating, and if you try to put that material on that particular surface, That material get adjust. That means it gets connected to that object. And when material is it's vibrating at a time, that the resonance of this particular that is the frequency is going to be changed, and that resonance change or the change in frequency can be calibrated with the amount of the vibrations inside. So these are actually used in the I could give the example of Volkswagen company. They are using such materials. Actually, one of my students had told me that this madam, when I was searching for Mediglass, this he told me that madam, this material is already used. So we come across certain modern materials which are actually used in so many applications. So this is the way we come across new things, and what is happening in our modern living. Okay, so just come across so many new varieties of gadgets and all those things. So this is it makes the person's life happy in the society. Okay, and because we can find the social difficulty solutions, so that again is helping us in this regards. Okay, and we can live very happily when we do some there is a glory we get in the research when you're doing something, and obviously there is happiness into this. So what is the research methodology? It is nothing but systematically how you solve a difficulty. Now it is not like you just come, see, and then problem is found. It's not that way. We have to find some step-by-step methodology to get into this research. Now, what to start with, how to begin, how to think, all these things are understood in by this term called research methodology. Like, see, unless one does a research work, all the procedures will not be clear. It's simply like we are moving in a blind, though we are knowing everything, but still it's moving like in a blind space. But still we have to do all the things step by step. So how about taking one example? I just explain things along with this example. Suppose somebody from our session, I can think about some names. Suppose we have some person is inviting. Suppose if there was some lady, I couldn't see any name here. So if somebody is inviting for the lunch, suppose. I'll just give you an idea, like this is really a very good example. If somebody invites us for a lunch in this session, probably we will say that we have 50 members here, 40 to 50 members, and we are all invited for the lunch by one of a member who is a lady. Obviously, we think here as lady going for the cooking, so we'll take this convention ahead. Some lady staff member is there and attached to the workshop, and she is asked to give the lunch. So all of a sudden, like she will think, she will start planning already. Today we haven't asked, we are asking for the a party sort of in the tomorrow's, like after the session. By tomorrow we are invited, suppose. So what all things come into our mind? So all these things can be best understood by this. What she will think is whether we should provide some continental or Indian food. That becomes my area of interest. That becomes the area of interest, is it not? All the things are really very important. What are the things which are important? We say that when I want to work for the research, what should be my area of interest? Do we do this? We surely do this. So if I am from electronics or computers, what do I think? Should I do in cloud or should I do in robotics? Should I do in image processing? If I'm from medicine, I will say that I'll do in diabetes, I'll do in surgery and all those things. If I am from psychology, I'll think about doing the research in we can say mental illness, is it not? So like how the lunch effect is getting into this research explanation. So area of interest is coming along from that part. So once you are all these 40 members are invited by one of our hosts there, then she will be thinking. She's already started thinking like what can be the dish or what can be the main which type of arrangement I can make. Is it not? Is it having any relevance to the society, or if we are the guests there, whether it is relevant. If we are all Indians, we are all vegetarians, so she will immediately think about going for only the vegetable dishes. She will be thinking of all those things. So when I'm thinking about area of interest, one thing I've done, my Indian food is fixed, that is fixed. The area of interest is fixed. My image processing is fixed. So now, whether it is relevant to the society, what in this it should be done, how it will be of use to these people, like whether all these 40 members are all vegetarians, whether it should be relevant to all these people, whether my work should be helping the society in the same sense, like. So this is one thing. And how about the innovation part is there in this? Suppose the person who will be the host tomorrow, if she has invited 40 people and she is just providing all dal chawal and all, there is any innovation in this? And people say we have lunch, all these things we have in the meals. It's everybody everywhere involved in every lunch, in every meal. So what is innovative in that? So that is one thing. So something new it has to be there. Okay, we can't repeat things, is it not? So innovation has to be there. How about the acceptability? Now, there is one more concept. When you have decided the area of interest, when you have done with the first two terms, it should be acceptable also. Like you can't serve the dishes like anyhow. No? It should be in a proper format. If 40 people are invited, the sitting arrangement is there. All these things are taken into consideration. The arrangement, the decor that is required has to be there. So, what is the relevance of this acceptability with our research? How do you think it is going to be accepted? Suppose somebody is there who is working. Just now we started with the materials, is it not? Modern materials. Somebody is doing some in science. Somebody is doing a research in the materials. And if you've gone to that person, if you have mailed him and asked him what all inconsistent thing you have done, please tell us whether it is okay for that scientist to reply, whether my work will be acceptable if I'm asking like this, how you're inconsistent, in incapability, all these things. If these words are there in your literature or all those things, whether it will be acceptable. You can't say that scientist has not done all these things. Can't directly we can't do. We have to put a proper script writing is required. So acceptability also comes into picture. Okay. Another thing is cost effectiveness. Okay. Now, what in my time, like when I had done this research and found Metlas was very like promising, and I thought like moving with this work. My work was supposed to do like how to think about detection of bacteria using this material. Now, I did not have any labs in my local place, and my work will only be hunting and going to the labs, getting the readings, coming back, and then this was very hectic and it was very cost effective also. All I can't go for the NCL labs like National Chemical Laboratories in Pune every time, get the links and all permissions. It was very much cost effective. So what the lady who is going to be hosting the lunch tomorrow, if is thinking of very much, we can say, highly like costly dishes, then it becomes very difficult. The budget will be overemphasizing, so that was not required. So whatever is okay for the budget, accordingly it has to be made. So lunch preparation also is required. And what are the ethical issues? Yeah. Now, when I'm talking about, you might have heard about like writing papers, the area of like no conflict, of interest. You might have heard about this. So there are no ethical issues. So just see that when we have a research area to be discussed, when we have the research to be done, think about one area which is having all these 5 points with us, and we are through with this. And when you are doing all these things, then only you come with some objective. Now, what do you mean by objective? See, when I say I want to do research in image processing, what happens? If I type image processing, you see lakhs of tons of papers are there within 60, 70 seconds. Are you going to find out all the points, all the papers? It will be very difficult to print it out. It's very difficult. How can I do all the paper reading? How can I have the printout of such a big size, lakhs of pages? It's very impossible. So we have to narrow it down. We have to narrow it down, and we have to go for some objectives. So what happens is if I'm doing it area of interest, suppose it's image processing, I wanted to do some grading of fruits, suppose. So what happens when I want to do this grading of this thing using the image processing means I should find out a topic further in the into the depth, saying that image processing required for the grading of fruits. So likewise, my search becomes focused. Okay, and when I'm defining the objectives, it should start from like words with to calculate or to find out and some action words like what I'm going to do. I'm going to calculate the total soluble solids. How? That will come as an action word. I want to find out the maturity of the fruit. How? By the different methods. So these methodologies, whatever action you're going to do, whatever the tool you're going to use, that tool in the sense, the work that you're going to have. So that tool will be having the different meaning. So that has to be in your uh, objectives. So these things will make you further focused. So when you are asking yourselves, this is nothing but asking yourselves, what am I going to do? So when these things come into picture and everything is actually all objective, that means it should be having the relevance to the whole world and given the meaning of the subjective and objective here. If you're subjective means it's different to you, different to her, different to me, everybody. For example, I've given even the indigestion is given, like it happens, indigestion can be to anybody, is it not? It's different for everybody. But some dental issue, it is common, like, is it not? So such objectives should be having objective words. They should be relevant to any person. That means it can be replicated later on by somebody else. Okay. So that should be measurable, reproducible, and comparable. That is what the objective is. So once you have written, once you have gone through the area of interest, research objectives, and the words, now you are ready for the literature survey. And with those 20, 30 papers, you can find out what all things can be done by you, who are the people who had been working in the same field. So as you go on focusing, the work becomes more and more clearer. And then you can separate and find out, yeah, this part requires some further work. So that way, this is not innovation. We are trying to research, is it not? We are researching. That is why the research word is there. And then finally, we can make a synopsis. That is the proposal. And in the proposals, all these points, like these 3, 4, 5 points are there, right? So these points, if they are there, suppose 18 to 20 marks are there for these. And if you want to have the funds from different NRF agencies, then if your synopsis is covering all those points like acceptability and then your relevance, innovation, cost effectiveness, ethical issues, if they are not, ethical issues are not there, then all these things can be considered that this, yes, this proposal is very good for the funding and the funding agencies can give you the amount that is mentioned for your work. I think I'm clear with this. So this is the way you write a proposal. For funding, obviously, this is very important. And now we'll come into the point of research design. What exactly do I mean by the research design? Is it not? So research design means exactly what all things are coming into the research. Till now, we just observed how and what to write the proposal, but what exactly is the research design? What is it made up of? Technically, what are the different steps we have to go when we are doing the research? And if you do it systematically, things become more and more easier, and we are more we can be confident what exactly we have done and what about other things, different things that we have to do. So all these things like basically run around these things: data collection, analysis, and report writing. Okay, so data collection, analysis, and report writing are the three basic things we can see. In between, many are there, but these are the these points which we can say clubs the whole research together. And obviously, I had been talking about the 2 points, that is quantitative and qualitative. That these two, in these two, the variation is a big variation is there, and then we can see stepwise how exactly the differences are there. Let us see what are the different types of research design. Okay, you can do quantitative research, you can do qualitative research, you can do even the combination. You can do the combination as well. Now, under the quantitative, now just see the numbers. I just go with the slide. There is a quantity. You just see there are numbers around here. Okay. I have just tried to obtain this as a image. You just see some digits and numbers around. And what is qualitative? Something coming under the lens. Is it not? It is coming under the lens and it's focused. The work is focused. The qualitative work is focusing or it is digging into the depth and to the depth. If it is going for the depth and depth means we are more inside, we are having a more insight of the topic. And this is actually, it's meant for psychology. It is meant for the study of the societies. This is meant for study of the, we can say, languages. Okay, and it is very difficult, like qualitative, when it is done for the humanities studies and all those things, it is much more useful, but somehow it can be blended for the quantitative as well. So quantitative and qualitative mixed designs also I have mentioned can be done. So quantitative is basically doing with figures. That is what I wanted to. And this is a horizontal, we can say, and this is a depth. So to make an identification, it's the higher horizontal research. This can say it's going for the depth. Okay, so like what? Now in this quantitative, I think I am very much clear with this quantitative. Am I audible in between? I have to check. The meeting is on. Am I audible properly? Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. So under quantitative, we have types like we can say experimental research is there, we have a correlation research, we have a survey research. And in qualitative, we have some grounded theory research, and there is another word called ethnographic research, and there is another term, there is a narrative research. Okay, we will see them. And in the combined, we have the mixed method, like we blend quantitative and qualitative research. Normally, when we are doing the research, we normally do quantitative by default. We never know there is a method even of mixed. There is a method where we can blend these two and do work in a quality manner. So that is like when we do the things, then only the things become much more clearer. Okay. Now, why should I do? What should I do? Should I do qualitative or I should go for quantitative in my research? I'm not very much clear in the beginning, is it not? What do I mean? How it is like? What should we get into? So we have I have written so many examples, but just skipping all these things. So, if when there is a question called how many weeks, okay, how many weeks or how many days, or just when I say there is a question called how many, that means it becomes quantitative, and when I ask a question why, it becomes a qualitative. I'll give an example. Suppose we have many studies, Shikshanacha Mahergar, Pune, we say. Okay, then when it is said, the question is, please tell us like what are the popular study spaces in Maharashtra, then the first name that comes is Pune immediately. Let us take one example, that is Pune. Okay, then immediately what we do is we think about so many diploma colleges, degree colleges, senior colleges and on so many things, and we just study like how many students are coming in and going for so many years. And this survey is nothing but the quantitative data analysis, which is going to do the quantitative data analysis for what was the problem? My problem was to have a study. What was the study? That study how many popular spaces are there in Maharashtra. That too I had taken one Pune. Okay, so this is that question. How many? So that how many was answering the quantitative data analysis problem. Now suppose somebody says, why is Pune so famous? Why is Pune popular for the education? If I think like that, why means then history comes around. Like why Pune has come forward with so many options, why people have so many options. So we can think about like it is as having a great heritage of, there is a link of so many areas of education. We have so many successful stories of different educational institutes, and why all those things can be answered. So this is, becomes a qualitative research. Now, obviously, the difference, I think it's very clear, and from the pictorial this thing also. Now, how basically we can have, if you want to differentiate, we can think about some attributes. Instead of going blindly, we can think about some approaches. So one point already I have mentioned. This is going to have, if I want to have analytical objectives to be satisfied, then how it is done in qualitative, how it is done in quantitative. The analytical objectives here are totally, will be based on individual experiences. If you go and interview the persons, the students there in the different schools, they will tell you different stories. Okay, so it depends. So the same story may not be. Suppose even in Nagpur there is a good education. So the same story for the Nagpur and for the Pune will be different. Obviously, it will be different. And quantitative, obviously, the things will be same. Only thing is the population will be different. That is it. And how will I'll be doing it? It will be in the form of the numbers, obviously. And when I have this particular objective, then my data will be simply descriptive. I will be having scripts. I will be having images. I will be having some videos. Okay, so the whole thing becomes simply descriptive. And what are the types of questions here I'll be asking? For the qualitative, it's nothing open-ended, like everyone will have a different answer for that. And how about this? These are open-ended questions. These are closed questions, sorry. That means it will be either in yes or no. Yes or no. Only those questions. There's nothing like, have you done it? They'll say no. Have you finished it? They'll say yes. So like this. So these questions are closed-ended. These are open-ended questions. And this is going to be not like fixed structure is not there. Data collection structure is not fixed. It can vary person to person, this place to place, and situation to situation. That is the context to context. It will change. So all these things are not fixed here, and in quantitative they are highly structured. The question, I'll give an example also for this. So the questionnaires and all those surveys, they're all having a particular stature, particular strategy is mentioned there, and that is followed throughout the surveys and whatever data collection methodology they are using. Okay. So I think, and what about this flexibility? Like what happens here is, when the person is, this is totally the questions asked are having the responses from the participant, and it really, the answers are dependent on the participants responses. So the participant response, when human involvement is there, so it becomes very difficult. That means the flexibility is very less here, and here the participant responses will not make a matter. Okay, I'll give an example. Suppose you have an exit poll. When you have elections, you have exit polls. How do you see the statistics in the last election? You might have seen. I'm not favoring any party here. So when you say BJP was going to score some 3 out of 330, it will score 220. The Congress will do this much. How it was? It was all by the surveys. So the statistics was done simply by giving some points. Is it not? So just it is like that. So this was the quantitative research, and then they put it on the tables and visualize graph. You can see, and you have the output also seen as data put into the statistics. So you have data. Just now I mentioned about this. You collect the data in the quantitative, like it can be in the Google. Nowadays it is in the Google form, Google Sheets. You have some questionnaire given, and then you even survey. All these things are there. You collect the data. And how do you do it in qualitative? It is in text. You have with images, like you have a form of small numbers of individuals or sites. You have the locations from where, how many people, all those things. And number of people in this survey will be obviously very less. It is time consuming. I'll just come to that later. So this is all time consuming. So the research here is going to give you a full insight, but it is time consuming. We'll have some examples later. How do I analyze? How do we analyze and interpret the data in the quantitative? Suppose after the exit poll, you are having the data. Okay. then what do? You just find out different means, different statistic methods are there. The people from statistic this mathematics can come to know what is this mean, median, and all those things. Uh, and then you have the spread of data. Is it not? You have skewness, there is distribution, variance, standard deviation, all those things. And we interpret and find out the whatever things like we can compare the statistics like how the exit poll for the BJP or the Congress was this year was, and how the last election session how it was and how it is now. So likewise we can have a comparison and find out the mean and all those things. So by statistics we can do the analysis, and in qualitative again we have to find out some statements, we give some inferences, we come with some inferences. Obviously the methodology here writing is totally different, it is going to be very descriptive, and all those things. Like even have you seen about an example we can see in Incredible India, there is one channel in TV, and one more thing we can see in Discovery channels also, when they are finding some inferences from some very old locations, some tribal areas, they find out. They do such narrative things. I'll come to that point later. So all these narrations are happening just by images and their data that they had collected long time back, and how it was, how the people were living, all these things they are collecting and then making it as a report. So likewise, I'll give another example. It's a very simple one. Suppose I have a bookcase. If it is a qualitative data, how it will be? It will be saying like it's made of wood or metal. It is having what type of knobs, whether they are plastic or golden knobs, or whether it is a steel knob. Where it is made from? It is made from Italy. It's made from India. Likewise, and has a smooth finish or matte finish like that. And what is quantitative? We will say, yeah, it is 3 foot long. What are the dimensions? So this is the basic difference between the two types of researches. So this is a big idea that I've given. Actually, there are many differences to come up. How do you report? Writing is there. So in quantitative, we have some standard methods to write the reports. Now, if you go and Google search, you can find out the research reports, how they have to be written. So all these things are there. In qualitative, again, it is very much fixed. We don't have much flexibility here. Okay, and then it is almost dependent on different subjectives, and whatever things are used, it depends upon the location, the context. Already it's been mentioned, and both of them require the same steps. These are the things we identify. All the points are same, but the methods are different. Okay, I'll just keep it off. So just getting into the quantitative research design. We said that if you remember the last slide, it was having experimental, is it not? Experimental researches. Sometimes people do what is, they try to go for the websites of data and they download the data and the Excel sheet is ready, or the images if you're trying to do on image processing. The data is ready, you just download it, and finally you just have the work done. You compare some some algorithms, and you try to comment some results, and the work is done. That also is a research, but what is the use of it? It's having no use if you're simply comparing the algorithms, because we cannot apply it to some practical solution for the society problems, is it not? So what is expected is, obviously, using the experimental methods for doing I'm talking about quantitative only, but if you're doing some experimental researches, then it is really of great help. That is the way you are actually trying to help the society. And when I think about experiment means what? For example, if I want some data, what do? I do some, I already have identified my problem, and now I want to solve this problem. So before that, I want some data. So if I am not going to take the data as it is from the different standards, obviously when I'm doing some laboratory work means I have to standardize my data also. Whatever data I will be generating, that data has to be standardized. I cannot take it as it is. It has to be from the standard device. It has to be from standard laboratories. Obviously, there are lots of hurdles in this, but still, unless we do the experimental research, things are not going to move forward. There are some units now, new GRs are coming, like data, if you download it, it will be probably in future may or may not be accepted later, but they are thinking of even making the data to be generated by the researcher. Okay, so how do you generate that? You have to go for some laboratories, find some like yeah, get the variables which are independent, which are dependent. I hope the meaning of this is understood. And just find out if those are the same variables that the company is having some issue. Check those issues and do that with a specific form with some findings, and just see that if you can apply the same findings to some other situation also. Okay, so recently those people from this thing. I don't remember the company name. Like they had a problem with the camshafts, is it not? When they were exported to this some other country. So the problems, probably if somebody might have solved their problem. They got it solved, but some might have solved it. No? So when you solve such problems, issues, then your data is ready there. The problem is already ready there, and when you go and solve this with some experimentation, then it becomes a great help to the industry also, to your knowledge also, and even for the research fraternity. So likewise, you can get to the experimental type of research. That becomes a bit of challenging, but it is time consuming as well, but it is on the long run, it helps a lot. Okay, so you can find hypothesis. I had given some pictorial way of explaining. So this was what I had actually to just explain them in terms of pictures. The concept would have been explained better now. So in the picture form, you can do much depth research in this. How do you correlate? Once you have done this correlation, like when we have this experimental work, you can find out using the statistics, like what are the dependent variables, how we can relate these independent variables, the dependent variables. We can find some different methodology to come up with the designs. So this is the actual research which can be done. And there are even survey results. Actually, there is one example that I've taken, how the quantitative research by the survey can be obtained, and how we can do it in the recent pandemic. We had come across this COVID-19. So one research was done in this. They have actually mentioned. I have taken this work from this link I have put here. The impact of COVID-19 pandemic on physical and mental health of Asians, a study of 7 middle-income countries in Asia. They have studied 7 Asian countries where the questions put were in the survey form. Like they have asked what was the mode of transmission, percentage of droplets. The questions were agree or disagree or uncertain. Like they had collected from these countries. That country, China, Philippines, Iran, Pakistan, Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand, total. I was searching for this, and they have obtained the correlations for this. Okay. So just see, these were the points they were surveying from these countries. So many agreeing, so many not agreeing, like that. So number of people they have interviewed also have been mentioned here. Okay. So what exactly has happened? They have tried to collect the data from statistics. Now just see, the questions are very fixed. You agree, you don't agree. I was mentioning about like questions for the survey in the quantitative, they are fixed. So you agree, you disagree, like that. So if contact with contaminated surfaces, whether you agree. So all these things are very fixed. It's very fixed. And one more question was level of confidence in one's own doctor in diagnosing or recognizing. How many were confident, very confident, less confident, or very, very unconfident? So likewise, all these things were collected. So this was a survey as was done in this paper, and it was published in 11 February 2021. And I thought it was really good example of quantitative research. And then that means then you can do all the statistics, and then you can conclude whether how this was done or okay for the Asian countries. Now, what is a qualitative research? And in this qualitative research, we say there's a grounded theory research, inductive approach is there. You have systematic generation of theory. What exactly do I mean by this? Like, you have some theoretical concepts. Okay, you have some theoretical concepts. For example, the same, if I want to take this work of the survey of this COVID-19, if I think about a survey for how was the mental fitness, how the mentally the people in these 6 countries were fit in the duration, how did they face the pandemic era, how did they face the lockdown era? So all these things, if I'm trying to put it out, it becomes a grounded theory research. Okay, so likewise, when you go for finding things means it's difficult. We can't go for so many thousands of people, but we have to restrict some number of we can say the research this data size. The survey has to be it's less number of people. Then comes what is ethnographic. Ethnographic is one type of qualitative research design where the research, as you might have heard about, like people stay there itself. Like suppose you want to study some in Andaman Nicobar, like what exactly is the lifestyle there? How do they study? How do they never study? They actually are tribal people, so study is not their cup of tea. How do they live? How is their lifestyle? And even today, even when somebody is there in this Andaman Nicobar Islands, people are not getting into the not even 13 to 20% of the area is accessible. The other whole area is under the tribal people only. They don't allow you inside. So when you want to learn the habitat, when you want to understand the living since hundreds and thousands of years, if you want to understand the living, then you have to live with that locality a long duration of time, and then you can understand the culture. So such studies are called as ethnographic. I've given just simple example. What about the research? Narrative research are something where you try to interpret some text and visual data. There is no standard format because so many people are working into this in the same concept. For example, when you go for some historical codes, there is little written about it. Is it not? You collect all the data. If you go for Badami Hampis and all, just see there is history and all, but still we try to recollect what all was happened last in those years. In the invasions, our history books have been damaged. Less is given to the next generation. So they keep on digging inside. Okay, so looking into the text, looking into the visuals, they come up with some theories. So it is not a single man's work. There are so many people who are working with that. Okay, so it becomes like narrative. That is one more thing we can say about how we can say the Gita and Ramayana and all those things are uh, carried forward to this 21st century to narrations only, is it not? So it is kept verses. Okay, so likewise, we try to find out the researches of qualitative designs. And what are the sources of quality data which simply go for the interviews, which are not structured much? Little bit is there fixed, but mainly it depends upon the place you're going. Is it not? Then your a particular group is focused. You're not going for interviewing everybody. We try to focus a particular group. And then you go for the questionnaires. And how do you go for those surveys? Like we try to collect those things and put them in the reporting, like self-reporting we do. Put all the events, past events and all those events together. Okay. If you want to have some data, if you are trying to survey a particular company, you put all those last data, present data and all those things. Suppose you want to know the working people health there in the company, you try to find out, you interview them, how was the company's report some few years back, now, all those things. When you go for the observations, nowadays we are facilitated with taking the videos and audios that we can do. So these are the different sources, ethnography just now mentioned. Now, where all can the qualitative research be obtained? What is the use? Basically, qualitative research is best done for the language that already I have told you. There are so many points I've mentioned, but a few we can explain. Market strategies can be best understood by the qualitative research. Now, I will tell you how it is going to explain. Suppose we have got some idea. Okay, so suppose we want to have an idea. Uh, we can think about the example of making India digitized India. It was in 2016, I suppose. That time people were thinking, did you think about swiping a vegetable vendor swiping a card that time and having the money exchange done that time when we went there was demonetization time when things were getting digitized and when the e-money payment was not a concept then, and now you can see every vegetable vendor also can have the transaction done by the QR code scanning. Then you can have the Google Pay and all those things everybody is knowing now. Is it not? So when some 7 to 8 years back, when it was a dream, now things have become clear. So if you would have interviewed this quality research we can do. How do people think about the e-transactions then and now, how the development has come? Such examples we can go for. Okay, suppose there is some brand. What are the brand strategies? Okay, uh, how the service is there, Ola service, how it is, how it was then, how the Ola service has improved. You can think about even Zomato, how the things were not good then. Now in the lockdown, it was booming like anything. Okay, all such points we can discuss. Like so many, what is the effect of we can say advertisement? Is it not? So such research also can be done. So there are so many examples of this qualitative research. Now, when you study about the emotions and societal, this also is an important one. When you study about the emotions and attitudes on society and public affairs. See, if you try to think about the survey doing studying the emotions in Mumbai or in Pune or in Sholapur or some other place. So obviously the people's comments or the answers will be totally different. So such studies we can do. Okay, people keep on doing so many variety of studies related to psychology, and so many things are there like related to human mentality towards the modern living and all those things. So also we can think about people nowadays, mothers, parents were much worried about the child using the mobiles. So you may ask like, what? How do you feel about your ward using the mobile? Whether the child is using it properly. They are having double mind in that. Okay, some are using, some are not using in a proper manner. So likewise, you can have a survey. So this becomes a qualitative survey. Okay, understanding the perceptions of company brand. Just see, this Ford has come out of the market now. Is it not? It has wind up. There are reasons why it has gone out. And when we think about a brand, some things have become a brand. Now Tata's have come forward; they've become a brand. So just see accordingly the manufacturing of the company will happen. Just see the company will try to have the analysis of the society first, find out the reasons of a particular company growth or for the particular company getting in the loss. So when they come to know the problems, when they come to know about the depth of the societal understanding, then they will try to invest in their future product. Probably Tata has done this, it has better understood the society, so it will work in that direction and make its market. And then you can simply just go for consumer understanding. We can say that really helps us in short to understand the total quantitative survey. If you want to do the quantitative survey, first you have to go for the first hand survey, that is the qualitative. So this is how we can do the blend of the two researches, qualitative as well as quantitative. Now, what is the qualitative will not do? Qualitative will not be giving you any statistical validation, and it will be really not giving you any numbers. So it will be not giving you any statistics. It will not help you to explain what will be the best price of the particular, like suppose there is some building, or this is the main VIP road, suppose, and we have a estate there. If if you want to research, what type of research you will do? You will not do qualitative, you will have to do quantitative there. Why? Because the building on this day is having a particular price, suppose 50 lakhs, probably in the next year it may have 55. So how it will be 55, why it will be 55, all these answers will not be given by qualitative, but the answers will be given by quantitative, because quantitative models will tell you how much, how much the price hike will be. It will predict the future rate of that particular estate, as it will predict the future weather conditions. Similarly, it will also predict the future price, but qualitative will not do this. Okay, so we cannot go for that. We can even see, just now mentioned the example, already had been this thing. So when you think about this qualitative, it is wherever you require the in-depth understanding of the society, or in-depth understanding of a particular product, in-depth understanding of a particular concept, then you have to use the qualitative. And if you want to use the quantitative, then you have to go with the bigger size statistics, like you have to find out, then you can develop different models where they can tell you what exactly will happen after so many years, when will the model come, and how will be the response of the public towards the how will the response of the public towards the product. So all these things can be done by the quantitative. So in the one more example I had thought of, because with examples we can think a lot. One example, and survey was done by this person, Anthony Renmeyer, and the graduate thesis and dissertation was published with this number. It is like qualitative study of perceptions of the first year college students regarding technology and college readiness. So how and what they think of students, whether they should have laptops, or 15 students were asked whether they should have laptops for the education, they should not have, whether students, teachers are compatible, all such points were there. So obviously students there and in India, if the survey is done, obviously the things will be different, it's very clear. Okay, so this is what the thing is for the qualitative. There are mixed methods, so you can do qualitative as well as quantitative together. To better understand the idea, you can do the qualitative as analysis, and to take this work forward, you can do the quantitative and find out the prediction with different models. And that is what about the mixed method. We have a lot many things. And what about the quantitative research method? Worry, the researchers here worry whether data is really sufficient. There are some models which doesn't work with some size of the model. They have to be more, for example, when you go for some machine learning, uh, probably some 1,000 data may not be okay. If you want to go for CNN, probably I will require some, we can say, the data to be in, like if I wanted to do with images, CNN, it will require some 1,000 plus data images. So likewise, so it depends upon that. And if you have more images, if you're having more data, image processing, then the CNN will give you a better results. Okay, so whether my model is correct, whether the things are right or wrong, all these things come under the scope. I have to wind up. So it's a long time it will take, because it's out of the scope now. And what exactly will the quantitative research will do? It will not be emotionless. Obviously, it will be giving you digits, means it will not answer why. The quantitative research will not answer why. Is it not? You have done research, but in the, suppose I want to talk about research in the vaccines they have done, but they have given you vaccines, vaccination has been done, and people are getting the double dose, getting immune, and all these things. But whether it will tell you why, the question like why there was a COVID situation, it will not answer. The research work will not answer why the COVID situation was there. Is it not? So such things are really very hard to digest, but it is there. And so these are nothing but all I have just club it out and simply together I've put the points. So it's all not possible with the qualitative research. It's very, very particularly subjective, particularly like it's not global. It is depending on the particular context, particular location, particular lot of people you have, the lot you are trying to survey. So it depends upon place to place. So they are going to be not flexible. So all these things, that means we cannot generalize them. So that is what is the word qualitative. Other aspects of research designs are how work is validated, how work is reliable, how whether you are suppose you want to have reliability. That means whatever design you have done for your, if you are a mechanical engineer, if you have designed some efficiency nowadays, it the work is going happening in the electrical engines and all, whether it is reliable. People think about it when you're going for a reliable car or something. Is it not? Whether suppose you have electrical vehicle now and if you want to give up your diesel engine vehicle, whether you immediately go for that, you'll have to just check out so some years like whether yeah everybody is using, now let us go and use it. So we are not sure about it. So there are some certain issues which are there for the research design. We have to be taking care of the dependability, the credibility is there, transferability, you can say. Okay, all these should be applicable to another context also. Credibility, whether it is really truth. If I want to have the same thing repeatable, like if even I have to work for it, whether it is okay. Okay, just because if it is true, then only I'll be able to repeat. No? If somebody has bundled it out, then that's not true. No? For the sake of the degree, they do it. So it's not that worth. So it's all these are the points which really take us to the correct research, the right research, and the technology is really served, or the whatever research area using. All these things can be served by these points. So just to think about all these things when we are doing some research. This is not for the sake of the name, like all stature, or for some payment issues, or like for some designation. We not have to do all those things for that purpose. We have to do it for our knowledge and for our the growth of technology and to make our country grow with your knowledge. Country also has to grow. I think I have come up with the end of this points. If these are some reference points, and you can just check it out. Otherwise, I have done with my side.